Good morning. I get asked a lot about scrapes and rubs and how to hunt them. Which ones are worth hunting over or near and which ones aren't. So I wanted to show you real quick. This one here was discovered about 5 years ago. And by accident, this is actually in a cedar thicket. And this one has been getting hit again at least for 4 years that I know of when I found it. But this tree was vibrant and new, young pine, and now it's dead from the years of it getting hit. It got hit again this year. So this down here is a scrape, and then this here is the rub. And I have multiple deer stopping here, scent posting, rubbing on it, rubbing their antlers on it, sniffing on it, rubbing between their antlers. Then the scrape gets rubbed or gets worked too. But when the scrape down here stops getting worked, where you can visibly see it, this is still getting worked. This is a scrape where you want to have a stand somewhere in the vicinity. This is what's called a community scrape. Every deer that comes through here stops here, and then it will become, during the rut, very popular. Okay, so there's that one. Now we'll just walk this way a little bit. Hold on. Oh, okay. All right, let's follow this trail out. So while we're walking to the next spot I wanted to talk about, here's a good example of what you want to do off season, whatever, is clear everything. I actually brought my zero turn mower up here and I mowed through this and cleared off all the leaf and debris and stuff, anything small, and make it silent so I can enter and exit this completely silent without alerting anybody to my presence. So let that be a lesson to make sure you take that extra step to clear your spots. So we're going to come out here to the main trail here, and then I'll show you the next one. And this one was hit, I'd say about 3 years in a row, maybe 2 years. And this one is ones that separates the men from the boys when it comes to rubs and scrapes. When you start getting pines of this diameter rubbed, you know it's a good deer. I'm not saying it's always a shooter or whatever, because that's in the eyes of the hunter. But I can tell you on my farm, what I'm seeing hitting this, everything from spikes to 150 plus inch whitetail hitting this. And there's a scrape that always happens right here too. And then you can see where the little saplings right here. This is one you want to be somewhere in the vicinity of. Back a little further into these pines here is where I killed my biggest buck ever this year with my bow. And although I did not see him on camera here, he was on the one we were just at. So this is one that's not a once in a while, occasionally, or just passing by rub. This is a community scrape and will continue to get hit every year. Okay. So most of the time when you have a scrape like this and that size, it's a community scrape, and it's one with some serious whitetails on it. Just over here, I have a trail camera set up, which, let me see if I can get closer to these shadows. You probably can't see it, but it's right there. So I've got it set to video, and I can see what's coming in. By setting him on video, A lot of guys think, oh, that eats the batteries. It doesn't. It really doesn't. And that's a $29 camera from Academy Sports. Does it take the crystal clear pictures that a Cuddyback or, Moultrie higher end one will? Of course not. But all I need it for is to see what's coming in, the age class, and how many antlers it has. Maybe even how many predators are coming by up this road here. So a wealth of knowledge that you can get from a cheap camera. So this is not an expensive man's game. You don't have to anyway. You can spend as much as you want, or you can get by with as little as you want. So just wanted to show you that one. And then I'm going to shut this down and get back with you here in a second when I get to the next one that I want to show you. So stand by and I'll be right back. All right, reached the end of the trail. I wanted to show you this one. So this one is actually started last year. I just noticed it last year in the very early stages, and I thought that's weird. That pine has got some weird markings on it because it was just barely marked. Well, this year it got bigger, and as you can see, the big scrape. Now the scrape is dried up, obviously, with the season here in Missouri. But look at this size of that. So I would say that this pine. You see the shavings down below, but this pine is pretty big. So I can tell you, while you may have some smaller bucks that stop and sniff and work on this, what started this and what's making this requires some decent antler. So if you're observant on your property or a place that you hunt, it doesn't always rub clean. Now next year, this will probably start bearing the actual tree itself, and the bark will be gone, and eventually this tree will probably die. But this is a pretty good sized pine, as you can see. So this is one of those times where you want to stand somewhere close to this during the rut, pre-rut and rut. Not really when the chasing starts, but you can. They still will come back and through here until they're with a doe. So I wanted to show you this here. Let me get out of the sun here because I know you can't see, and neither can I. But there's a stand right there. Okay, so that stand to that rub is 20 yards. Okay, and the deer will come out of this woods here, cross here, come and work, or they'll come off the ridge over here and come up and cross this way. I got a camera on that telephone pole right there, and I capture it. And that's the other thing. I can't stress enough how much value I get out of these cameras and having them set to video, because I can capture deer occasionally fighting. I can capture even does. Does fighting are cooler than a buck fight, if you ask me. But that's another example of a community scrape or a large magnum whitetail that's making it. Not the only one that's going to use it, but he's the one starting it. So let me get to some regular rubs, and we can look at those. So stand by. Okay, so now we're coming down the ridge here, and you can see this little sapling right here. Okay, this isn't one that, I get excited about, but nonetheless, it's a rub, okay? And this is probably one that's just kind of as they're working their way up or down. Now you can always tell the direction by the side of the limb that it's rubbed on. So, he's facing this way, towards the bottom. But so this is a ridge line right here. It goes down and spills into a spring-fed creek. So almost every year there'll be rub lines down here, and it's marking a territory. So, and this year was no different. Just sometimes you have to look for it. But as you can see, we're getting ready to come up on a pretty good one right here, and it's pretty high on the tree too. It's not down at the bottom. So this is a pretty good sized buck, if you ask me. Could be wrong, but that's a pretty good sized buck. Gouge marks on it right here. It's just high. Normally they're down a little bit lower or whatever, but that's a pretty good sized buck. And as the crow flies, that big hind rub is just up that way about 150 yards. Okay, so could that be the same deer? Possibly. They come down this little hill right here, and they'll make rubs. You come over here, and you can see this one right here. Okay, same hillside. It's all feeding down into that spring-fed creek. Okay, so what it's telling me, and what I've seen over the years owning this property, that the bucks travel this all the time. Do they travel at daytime? Not necessarily, but it's not always at night. But if we get closer over here, I'll show you the actual creek that it fills into. That's this whole ridge comes down. Bucks like to run this ridge here and then on up the other side. Scent checking. So I use this to my advantage. So when I'm wanting to hunt this area, I will definitely stay and hunt a south wind, because the south wind is going to blow down into nothingness down here and out. So a south wind doesn't bother this spot at all. It's actually the preferable wind direction. Now north wind would then blow all up in there or down here, and so you just have to play it. So this area here is pretty thick. It's got a lot of little saplings and stuff on it that just offer the deer a lot of opportunities to rub. Yeah, there's another one right there. So, okay, so this would be what I would consider a rub line. It happens every year. Sometimes there's more. Like this is one from years ago, right here. Not this year, but probably last year. And then it spills off into the creek there. So when you're looking for sign, you're looking this is valuable. So what else is here? Well, what's here is the creek. The destination is water. This is a big ravine that runs through here. And so they like to run on either side of it, especially when they're chasing does, but when they're just coming through anyway. This is a area that's full of oaks. So when the mast is plentiful, the deer are always in here. So, all right. And then the last one I wanted to talk about is just the one and dones. I'm coming through, no need to set up a stand type of rub. I mean, it's an indicator that a deer was there, but it's not an indicator that a deer will come back. So stay with me and I'll be back when we get onto that. Okay, the last type of rub I wanted to talk about when you're looking at it is this type of rub right here. There's nothing else around it. There's no other rubs. Like if you were to walk down this way, there's no other rubs. This deer was facing this way when he made the rub, but this is a logging road here. I think he just stopped to get a little aggression out and then moved on. And so this is not some, it's a good sign, and I love to see rubs of any kind, honestly, but it's not something that I'm going to get too crazy about and hurry up and get a stand up somewhere over here, unless there's other things going. So if you notice back right through there, that's actually a food plot with a big humongous white oak in it. So we had a major drought this summer, and it pretty much just dormanted all of the clover. Had it not done that and it been thick, probably would have seen a scrape pop up right here. Anywhere where that's a little destination, or not really a destination, but more like just a shot plot type thing, small, quarter acre, whatever. But if it's got does coming in it, the bucks are going to set up around the does with scent markers and scent posts, which is what typically a scrape and a rub will be, or a territory being marked. This is just one lone rub that I didn't find anything else around it. So this is, again, one of those that's nice to see. Let you know that there are some male deer running in your area. Not even one I'd put a camera up on, just one. He ain't gonna come back. I've got other ones that I showed you there that would require a camera. This one is just something good to know. Tuck that back in the back of your mind, and then move on to find some more viable sign. So that's what we got. Everybody have a great day, and I'll talk to you later.